A very good afternoon. You're watching the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us start the news with the top headlines. India pushes Pakistan to act against terror groups operating from its soil. Questions why Pakistan is denying using F-16 against India. External Affairs Ministry reiterates India's non-military action on JEM camp achieved objective. Government taking all steps for Nirav Modi's extradition from London, asserts Ministry of External Affairs, says extradition request under consideration of the UK government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils a statue of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay at Institute of Archaeology in Greater Noida to lay foundation stone of Khurja and Buxar power plants via video link. Will also inaugurate the Noida City Centre, Noida Electronic City section of the Delhi Metro. BJP announces pre-poll alliance with all Jharkhand Students' Union in Jharkhand. BJP to contest on 13 seats, AJSU on 1. Vice President holds a delegation talks with Costa Rican President, calls for mutual efforts to fight terrorism. India and Costa Rica signed several agreements. Vice President invites Costa Rican companies to invest in India. The top story this afternoon, India has reiterated that its non-military strike on Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Pakistan has achieved desired objective, which demonstrated country's firm resolve to take decisive action against cross-border terrorism. At a media briefing, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that the Pakistan has not shown any serious intent to address the concerns raised by India and the international community to rein in terror groups operating from its soil. Hitting out strongly against Pakistan, Ravish Kumar said that Pakistan-based terror groups were conducting their activities without any hindrance. He added that Pakistan must show credible, verifiable and sustained action against terror groups operating from its soil.
Pakistan still continues to deny Jaish-e-Mohammed's own claim of taking ownership of the Pulwama attack. In his interview to BBC on 1st March, Pakistan Foreign Minister said, and I quote, "They have not claimed responsibility of that." He means Pulwama attack. There is some confusion on that. The confusion is that the leadership has been contacted and they said no, unquote. Is Pakistan defending the Jaish-e-Mohammed and acting as its spokesperson? Does Pakistan's claim have any credibility? Pakistan has failed to take any credible action against Jaish-e-Mohammed and other terrorist organizations which continue to operate with impunity from Pakistan. The widespread presence of terrorist camps in Pakistan is a public knowledge, both within and outside Pakistan. Repeated requests by us and the international community for Pakistan to take action against such groups has been met with denial. Pakistan should explain why it continues to deny that its F-16 aircraft has been shot down. We have asked the United States to also examine whether the use of F-16 against India is in accordance with the terms and conditions of sale. Now Pakistan will be judged not by the words which they speak, but by the action which they take. The proof of action is not in issuing a notification in the Gazette, but now dismantling the actual infrastructure of terror on the ground, and also which should be verified. I am sure beyond what I mentioned, what they're expected to take and do, I'm sure Pakistan is well aware of its own commitment and the concrete action which it has to undertake.
And Ravish Kumar also said that the Indian Armed Forces are determined in the defense of the nation and its citizens.
We have and we will continue to act with responsibility and maturity. Our armed forces continue to maintain strict vigil and will remain determined in the defense of the nation and its citizens. If Pakistan claims to be a Naya Pakistan with a Nayi Soch, it should demonstrate Naya action against terrorist groups and terror infrastructure on its soil and end cross-border terrorism in support of its claims.
And the Ministry of External Affairs has also said that the government is aware of fugitive diamantaire Nirav Modi's presence in London and is taking all the necessary steps for his extradition. Addressing a press conference, MEA spokesperson said that Nirav Modi's extradition request is under the consideration of the UK government. The statement comes just hours after a British newspaper, Telegraph, reported that Nirav Modi is living openly in a swanky £8 million apartment in London's West End and is now involved in a new diamond business. Nirav Modi is wanted in the 13,500 crore rupees Punjab National Bank fraud case.
You are aware that we have made a request based on information received from ED and CBI. We have made a request for extradition with the UK authorities in August last year. Despite whatever we see on television today, the status remains the same. UK is still to respond or is still considering a request for extradition of Nirav Modi.
And our colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us live from the newsroom for more on that story. Akhilesh, first things first, MEA is speaking about Naya Pakistan, saying that the Naya Pakistan must show Naya action, Nayi Soch against terror. Very important coming in the backdrop of, the recent tensions between India and Pakistan. But at the same time, India maintaining that it must sustain that pressure really on Pakistan to ensure that it stops, the use of terrorism as a state policy.
Exactly, Aishwarya, what has happened that after Pulwama attack and after India Air Force targeted the Balakot terrorist hideout, and that was hideout of Jaish Mohammed actually, the whole world has condemned the action of Pakistan as far as terrorism is concerned, and the whole world has told Pakistan to act and dismantle the infrastructure of terrorism. And after that, you have seen that some reports of detention of some terrorists, so-called terrorists, and some people who are in the different organizations in the terrorist outfits.
Yes.
India was thinking that yes, there is a need to expose Pakistan's design, because this has happened that whenever there is a pressure on Pakistan from the international community, Pakistan comes out with some statement or some action that can be shown on television screen and that can be written in the headlines of Pakistan that yes, so many terrorists have been detained. But that detention had really not been fructified on the ground. They had been working on the ground. They had been preparing for terrorist attack inside India and also inside Afghanistan. So that is why India External Affairs Ministry has come out with this statement that yes, you have to show the action against terrorist infrastructure that can be verifiable on the ground, that yes, whether the terrorist infrastructure has been dismantled, whether the activities of terrorists had been stopped. And you know that there is a proposal in UN Security Council from three members, important members, US, Britain and France have jointly given a proposal and resolution that Jaish Mohammed chief should be proscribed. Yes. And Pakistan has been opposing it. And you have recently seen that Hafiz Saeed had requested UN Security Council Committee 1267 to release him from the proscribed list, and UN has refused. So there is immense pressure on Pakistan, and Pakistan is trying to do some window dressing so that world can see that yes, the boy is acting on terrorists against terrorists. And that is why India's strong statement has come that you have to show that what you are going to do, and we have to see that what you have done, and you are well aware that what you are supposed to do. So these things are very clear. Pakistan is trying to dilly-dally, trying to showcase it that it wants investment in the country, it wants prospering of Pakistan. But as a matter of fact, they are hiding the terrorists. Pakistan army spokesperson speaks that they don't have any connect. Jaish-e-Mohammed chief is not in Pakistan, but foreign minister says that we have contact with Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Jaish-e-Mohammed chief is in Pakistan. So there is type of contradictions in Pakistani establishment itself, and that is why India is trying to put pressure on Pakistan, keep pressurizing Pakistan, also requesting the United Nations Security Council to keep the pressure on Pakistan so that it can dismantle the infrastructure of terrorism. Aishwarya.
And yes, Akhilesh, and speaking about another issue that of course was raised at the MEA briefing was that of fugitive Nirav Modi, because if the reports are to be believed, he has been spotted in London, in fact has started a new diamond business, which is of course a big cause of concern. He's been wanted in India for almost a year now.
That you have seen that how Nirav Modi's illegal house was dismantled yesterday, and the request of India has been already sent to United Kingdom for from last August. So in that case, they have a procedure, and they have their own system that once the Home Minister will tell the court to extradite, the case will go in the court, and then the court will hear the case. And so there are so many procedures. So you cannot just, if you have seen some individual roaming around in London streets, you cannot just catch him and take back to India. So we do have good relations with Britain, and that is why we are going with all formal requests and all formal procedure. You know that the case against Vijay Mallya is ongoing in the British court, and we have yet to get him Vijay Mallya, though the lower court has told that he can be extradited, but he has gone into the higher court. The same will be the case of Nirav Modi. So we have to keep a very patience, but in between you have to take all domestic pressures against Nirav Modi so that he can come back, and he should do whatever is to be done in Indian court. So it is a really long drawn process, and External Affairs Ministry spokesperson said that we are at it. We are trying to get him extradited as early as possible, but it will depend on British judicial process and British administrative process,
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates on that story. And now it is time to get you all the election-related news. First up, news from Jharkhand. The BJP has announced a tie-up with All Jharkhand Students Union in the state for the upcoming Lok Sabha polls. Now, according to the agreement, the BJP will contest on 13 seats and AJSU on 1 seat. The AJSU is already a partner in the BJP-led government in Jharkhand, I beg your pardon. The move was announced following the BJP Parliamentary Board meeting on Friday, which was called to chalk out a strategy for the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, BJP Chief Amit Shah and senior leaders like Sushma Swaraj, Arun Jaitley, Nitin Gadkari, Rajnath Singh, among others, were present in this meeting. In the last general elections, BJP had contested 12 out of 14 seats.